We've got another massive patch on our hands, which means the meta is evolving once again. You know we got you covered though, as today we'll be breaking down the best solo carries. 3 champs for each role that hold some of the greatest carry power for the current meta. And just before we get into it, if you want to improve fast and get the rank you've always wanted, then go to SkillCapped.com. Stop wasting your time grinding thousands of games only to see no progress. With SkillCapped, you'll uncover the secret to climbing ranks fast that only take a few minutes to learn and can be immediately applied in your next game. The best part is, it's completely risk-free to try, as you're kept safe with our rank up insurance. If you don't significantly improve while actively using SkillCapped, then you get your money back, no questions asked. So what are you waiting for? Get the rank you've always wanted by clicking the link in the description below. Alright, let's start off by covering our first top lane pick. It has been the Trinity Force takeover the past patch or so, and one really strong top laner who's still quite underrated with the item is Fiora. Fiora is being bumped into the top 3 for this patch, as she's absolutely incredible right now with this split push focused build. Rush item is Trinity, Ravenous Hydra is second, and then you pick up a Hullbreaker third. Trinity and Hullbreaker were both just recently buffed, and if you can get to this 3-item core, there is practically no one who can beat you in the 1v1. Being able to side lane properly is extremely important on Fiora and vital to your win condition. We have an entire course on our website that covers how to split push properly, so it's a great resource to help you out. Ban-wise for Fiora, Malphite is one of the best options right now, with him being played a ton in meta. For the rune page, you can run Conqueror or Grasp depending on the matchup and preference. Grasp is best in those scrappy melee versus melee lanes where you will be taking a lot of quick trades, while Conqueror is optimal into ranged matchups or into tanks where you need very extended trades to win. There's really no better tank with as much solo carry power as Malphite right now. Mal is especially good for the lower ranks because it takes very little skill to be consistently impactful on the champ. You could come out of the lane 0 and 5 and getting curb stomped by the enemy top laner, but hit that one good R in a fight and end up winning the game off that engage. Best ban for Malphite is Sylas for 2 core reasons. Number 1 is that Sylas is an AP bruiser, so Mal doesn't get the stack armor like he wants to. Number 2 being that Sylas with Malphite R is one of the most disgusting things in the game. Adapting how you look to use your R for each game is really key to seeing the best results on Malphite. Of course, those multi-man Rs are always fun to go for, but if every single enemy you're ulting is useless and the opposing team has a 10 and 0 ADC, going for those one-man ults can actually be more optimal. The build for Malphite is an Iceborne Gauntlet rush into Sunfire Aegis second and a situational tank item third. Grasp is best in melee lanes where you are planning to max W out first, while Comet is optimal with a Q max in ranged matchups or against champs you can't really trade autos with. These fighter top lane champs who thrive in the 1v1 are making a big push back into meta as of recent, one of them being Jax. Just like we mentioned earlier for Fiora, Jax is a champ who loves the recently buffed Trinity Force and has so much carry power with the item. Playing for that Trinity spike is a really good win condition for each game on Jax, as you become such a monster on completion. Malphite being a champ who stacks armor and has an attack speed slow is very annoying for Jax to deal with, so he's our recommended ban. The 3-item core of Trinity Force into Blade of the Ruined King and Spear of Shojin is going to offer the most dueling power. Hullbreaker is a really underrated option as well in place of Blade of the Ruined King if you plan on only sitting in the side lane. Rune page for Jax is Lethal Tempo with Triumph, Alacrity, and Last Stand. Run Magical Footwear and Biscuits for secondaries. Making his way back into meta for the first time in what seems like multiple years has been Ivern. The buffs last patch have been absolutely incredible, and it looks like Riot has no plans for nerfs in 13.12. Ivern has always been thought of as that supportive jungle champion, but with the buffs to Daisy, his damage is actually pretty nuts right now. Level 6 Ivern with Daisy in action can dish out way more damage than most players would expect. Way back when Ivern was first released, our challenger jungler, Japanese import, hit rank 40 spamming the champ and has a brand new full game commentary highlighting the recently buffed Ivern on our website. Ban-wise for Ivern, Rengar is one of the better options as your brush becomes a bit counterproductive against the champ. Ivern thrives the most when he has a strong DPS carry that he can look to protect, so playing for the winning bot lane is a great idea for most games. The build for Ivern consists of an Echoes of Helia or Shrelia's Rush into Ardent Censer second and Staff of Flowing Water third. Aerie is the Keystone rune with Nimbus Cloak, Transcendence, and Water Walking. Roll with Futures Market and Cosmic Insight for secondaries. Lots of champs we have not seen in meta for a long time are making a comeback in 13.12, and next in line is Rek'Sai. Initially, Rek'Sai was looking much weaker due to the Prowler's Claw dash removal, but a few really nice buffs and she's suddenly a top tier pick. There are few junglers who have the potential to impact the early game as much as Rek'Sai can. Tunnels open up so many unique gank paths that are very hard to ward against and can lead to you snowballing the lane out of control. In this meta where we are seeing the Zeri and Lucian paired up with Yuumi in a ton of games, getting them ahead is as close to a free win as you're going to get, and with Rek'Sai's gank power, he can make that happen better than most. Kindred is currently one of the better bans for Rek'Sai, as they can kite you around quite easily, and Kindred are hard counters Rek'Sai in the mid to late game. Standard build is Bruiser with a Stridebreaker Rush into Black Cleaver second and Death Stance third. Ghostblade is definitely viable too if you're snowballing super hard early on and want to go the lethality route. The rune page is Conqueror with Triumph, Alacrity, and Coup de Grace, followed followed by Free Boots and Cosmic Insight for secondaries. There are now 2 really strong ganking junglers in meta as Jarvan rounds out our top 3. With Kha'Zix nerfed for 13.12, it's going to put a lot more priority back onto Jarvan, who has been a potent jungle pick for what it feels like multiple months. Champion select planning is important for every jungler, but even more so for someone like Jarvan, who has a variety of pathing options. If you're playing with a melee engaged support, taking red and then level 2 ganking bot can work amazing. Vice versa, if you got a weak early game enchanter support, pathing for top or mid and trying to get them ahead is often the better choice. Autopilot clearing is okay on some junglers, but definitely not on Jarvan if you want to get the most out of him. Kindred is a pretty good ban right now for Jarvan, as their mobility and ultimate can really limit what Jarvan can achieve. Core build consists of a Gore Drinker Rush into Black Cleaver 2nd and Death Stance 3rd. Conqueror is the best Keystone rune with Triumph, Alacrity, and Coup de Grace. Run Magical Footwear and Cosmic Insight for secondaries. It's been a few patches now since the Neeko mini rework, and she's currently in a really great spot. We've even had the champion pulled out in the pro scene and fooling players by disguising herself as a minion. The fact that champ can work in a coordinated environment like pro play just means she's got even more potential in the chaotic fiesta that solo queue is. Disguising yourself as a minion in the mid to late game and looking for those catch plays is so low risk, high reward, and can solo win so many games. Neeko does really well into many of the highly picked melee mids in solo queue as well, like Sylas, Yone, and Akali. Longer range pick champs like Syndra are who Neeko struggles most against, so she's a good ban option. The standard core build is a Rocket Belt Rush into Shadowflame 2nd and Zanya's or Rabadon's 3rd. Grab Comet for the Keystone rune with Mana Flow, Transcendence, and Scorch. Optimal secondaries are Biscuits and Cosmic Insight. This champ should really not be allowed to be this good for so long, but Annie is once again a top 3 solo carry mid for 13.12. For such a simple champion, Annie has been a free elo generator for the past few months now. The fact you can choose to completely take one champion out of the entire game makes Annie so lethal. In the mid to late game, if you're holding stun, melee champs just can't engage into you, and it makes Annie a phenomenal pick into the likes of Katarina, Yasuo, and Yone, who most traditional mages tend to struggle with. If the enemy team has one fed member but you're doing well yourself, it really doesn't matter because your point and click one-shot combo can completely erase any squishy from the game. Much like Neeko, the champs with long-range pick power are who Annie has the most difficult time against, so using your ban on Syndra or Fizz is a good idea. Core build for Annie is a Luden's Rush into Shadowflame 2nd and Zanya's or Rabadon's 3rd. Run Electrocute for the Keystone rune with Cheap Shot, Eyeball Collection, and Relentless Hunter. Mana Flow and Absolute Focus are the best secondaries. One mid lane champ who has been a consistent staple in the top 3 for a while now and great again for 13.12 is Ahri. The mobility and catch power Ahri brings to the table makes her extremely strong for solo queue. Finding picks are often how games are won or lost in solo queue, and Ahri is one of the best champs at capitalizing on enemies' mispositioning. Most players would call Ahri a mage more than an assassin, but you really want to have that assassin mindset when playing the champ. Setting up in Fog of War, letting the enemies overextend, and then picking them off with your catch power is how you should be looking to approach fights. Straight up 5v5s are not Ahri's bread and butter like most other mages. Due to his high play rate, Yasuo is one of the better bans for Ahri right now, as his mobility and wind wall are difficult to play around. The standard build for most games is an Everfrost Rush into Shadowflame 2nd and Zanya's or Rabadon's 3rd. Run Electrocute with Taste of Blood, Eyeball Collection, and Ultimate Hunter for primary runes. Best secondaries are Mana Flow and Transcendence. We've seen the rise of Trinity Force up in the top lane, but it's also led to massive success for many ADCs, one of them being Draven. Draven slides into the top 3 for 13.12 with top tier ADCs from recent patches like Kog'Maw and Zeri being hit with nerfs. Riot has no plans of nerfing Trinity Force for 13.12, so ADCs who can abuse the item the best are going to be on top. The Trinity completion is so vital and amplifies Draven's dueling power immensely, so playing around the spike is very key. Ban-wise for Draven, Ezreal can be a bit annoying since he can just sit back and farm with Q and really limit how aggressive Draven can play, so he's a good ban option. The complete core build is a Trinity Force Rush into the Collector 2nd and Bloodthirster 3rd. The rune page is a lethal tempo with Triumph, Bloodline, and Last Stand, followed by Eyeball Collection and Treasure Hunter for secondaries. If you're stumped on who to play for ADC this patch, there's one champ I'm very fond of who I think you'll really enjoy, being Ezreal. Bias aside, there are many reasons for Ezreal's rise in 13.12. So many ADCs are being torn down this patch by more Gale Force nerfs and a Fire Cannon nerf, while Ezreal slips by without a single change affecting him. Just like Draven, Ezreal is another champion absolutely thriving with the buffed Trinity Force and is now heavily outperforming Essence Reaver. The gap was relatively close before, but Trinity is now winning 4% more than ER. One thing that you can consistently control in the majority of your games is hitting that Manamune spike before 20 minutes. With Trinity completed and Manamune upgraded into Muramana, you have one of the best mid-game spikes for any champion. Third item is really situational on Ezreal, as you can go Cyrildas for most games, but Ravenous and Frozen Heart are viable too. For the rune page, look to run Press the Attack with Presence of Mind, Bloodline, and Coup de Grace. Free Boots and Biscuits are for secondaries. Stepping away from the Trinity Force ADCs, over to one who is dominating with the lethality build right now is Misfortune. When it comes down to a simple to autopilot ADC who has an extremely powerful mid-game spike. There's nobody who tops MF in this meta. Get to your 2-item core and you begin one-shotting squishies with an E into R combo. There's actually 2 really good mythic options to choose from on MF for 13.12, with Ghostblade and Duskblade being very powerful. Duskblade actually has the higher win rate right now after the 13.11 buffs, but Ghostblade is being picked way more often, so try out both and see what you prefer. The Collector's second item and Lord Dom's third work really well to round out the core. As an ADC who lacks a gap closer, using your ban on a hard engage meta champ like Malphite or Jarvan is good value. For the rune page, it's First Strike with Free Boots, Biscuits, and Cosmic Insight. Run Absolute Focus and Gathering Storm for secondaries. With Melio, Lulu, and Yuumi all being nerfed in 13.12, it's going to bring rise to melee supports, and kicking off the top 3 is Nautilus. Especially with the hyperscalers like Zeri and Cog nerfed as well, it's going to bring back more strength to those powerful early game ADCs who Not loves playing with. If you can pick Nautilus with Samira, Draven, or Misfortune and CC the enemy ADC at level 6, it should be a guaranteed kill every single time. Level 2 kill threat is also quite good with Nautilus, so if you have the push and will hit 2 before the enemy, gesturing aggressive and going all in is important to play for. Those strong disengaged supports are who can provide Naut with some issues, so banning out Janna or Morgana is a good idea. Build to run as an Even Shroud Rush into Zeke's second and Knight's Vow third. Glacial Augment is the Keystone rune with Hex Flash, Biscuits, and Cosmic Insight. The best secondaries are Bone Plating and Unflinching. Another hook support who's going to become even more powerful for 13.12 is Blitzcrank. Blitz loves playing into those squishy enchanter supports, so with many of them being nerfed, he's going to be thriving. A little trick you can try to key in on when playing Blitz is to focus on those low health enemy minions. The enemy will feel safe being behind the minion, but if you can time your hook for as soon as the minion is going to die, it can really catch the enemy off guard and drastically increase your hook hit rate. Playing around the side lane brush is also very important too, as the threat of your engage from the brush forces the enemy to play more reserved. The core build for Blitzcrank is a Shurelya's Rush and a Zeke second and Knight's Vow third. Glacial Augment is the Keystone rune with Hex Flash, Biscuits, and Cosmic Insight. Grab Bone Plating and Unflinching for secondaries. The final support rounding out the top 3 is going to be Rakan. Rakan priority rises back up this patch with all the enchanter nerfs, and he's especially going to be loving the fact that Melio is finally being nerfed. There's no better support than Rakan when it comes down to capitalizing on those slight positional errors that the enemy makes. The snap engage plays that Rakan can pull off really rewards players that can think fast and thrive more off of macro than micro play. Setting up in fog, controlling vision around objectives, and finding catch plays when you have the numbers advantage is a simple way to see consistent results on Rakan. Janna is definitely one of the best bans for Rakan, as her disengage heavily negates his core purpose. Build to run as a Shurelya's Rush into Zeke second and Redemption third. Roll with Guardian followed by Font of Life, Bone Plating, and Unflinching for primary runes. Optimal secondaries are Zombie Ward and Ultimate Hunter. So that wraps up the solo carries, but if you want to improve fast and get the rank you've always wanted, then go to SkillCapped.com. With premium courses for every role and skill taught by the best players, SkillCapped is the perfect platform to help take your game to the next level. Take our wave control course. While you wait for your next game to start, you can learn freezing, fast pushing, slow pushing, bouncing waves, the list goes on, all in just a few minutes to maximize your improvement rate. Or maybe you just like seeing your opponent's health go to 0. Then you'll love our trading course. We even have a skill test at the end so you can see how good you really are. Players just like you are leaving 5-star reviews and raving at how helpful they are. That's not all we offer though, as every week we release 10 brand new Smurf commentaries where a challenger player teaches you how to climb out of the exact rank you're stuck in. If you're looking for something more personal instead, then we got you covered with one-on-one coaching from our trained challenger experts. All this seem too good to be true? Well, don't worry, we're backed by a rank up guarantee. If you don't significantly improve while actively using SkillCapped, then you get your money back, no questions asked. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description below and get the rank you've always wanted. Until next time, thanks so much for watching and good luck in solo queue.